intelligence from satellite doesn't compete with any other sensor. The drone versus satellite, the argument itself is stupid. We compete with human intelligence. China would have about 300 satellites which are doing the Earth imaging. India has eight.
The government of India are already spending close to 800 crores buying Earth observation data and intelligence.
Government today prioritizes ability to act fast, seeing the deforestation triggers, afforestation program, what is the carbon stock and how it's moving.
Prateep Basu is an ex-ISRO scientist and the founder of SatSure. SatSure is an Earth observation company. It helps banks, governments, insurers to make decisions using data from space about things like lending, farming, forestry, infrastructure, and so on.
Algorithms come dime a dozen, making it work in the Indian conditions to the specifications of what your user wants. That requires a very nuanced translation of the business process embedded into your model design, your product design.
What are the big untapped opportunities which you haven't even touched so far? Prateep, welcome to the Founder Thesis podcast. My first question to you, what's the right industry for SatSure? Is it space tech? Because you're not the hardcore space tech company like, say, a Pixel. Is it um, is it like in the data space? Is it SaaS? What is it like? How do you categorize it?
I would want to know what is the definition of hardcore space tech at another point.
No, like I'm saying, like people who launch rockets are typically seen
Yeah,
as more like space
space.
techie ish. But I could be wrong, man. I'm an outsider, so don't hold it against me. You tell me what's the right way to classify
Yeah.
Satchur?
I think my company is at that nice event horizon which brings outsiders and makes them insiders. So
Okay.
we are at the intersection of what we call as space technology, Earth observation, and
Hmm.
artificial intelligence. So we nicely coined ourselves as an Earth intelligence company.
Hmm. Okay. So what are you selling to your customers? You're selling intelligence.
Well, we are selling outcomes, to be honest, outcomes that are derived using imagery that is, translated into initially the intelligence from the imagery,
Hmm.
and then integrated with non-imagery data sets that we continuously integrate. It depends on use case to use case, and then that's how you deliver a business outcome which has a certain value associated with it.
What does it mean when you say you're selling outcome? I like outcome would mean that you. I mean, my understanding of outcome is as follows. So, for
Hmm.
example, if somebody is running a marketing agency, and for them to sell outcome would mean that okay, I'm giving you leads. Okay, I'm doing lead generation for you, for example. So, how are you selling outcome? Just break it down in a more layman friendly way.
That's a great example. I'm going to say lead generation. I'm you going to take this example of lead generation only.
Hmm.
So, as take a use case with agribusinesses and banks, we do enable them to do lead generation. Now, how? For them, the lead generation is the factor of following things. Number one, they need to know whether the leads are close to their local branches or retailers, which is physical presence, and it should be within the catchment area, like the area that they can cover physically, right? Second, they need to filter by the leads by whether these farmers are growing the kind of crops for which they are selling the product, like a pesticide or a seed, or having active land availability ownership, which in the case of finance. So merging all of this information allows us to provide that outcome, that this is your best list of top 20 farmers in each village, as an example.
Okay. Uh, so, is it? I- I- does is there someone in your team who's constantly giving them answers to questions that they're asking, or how are you doing this? Like, say, top 20 leads in your in near a branch in some village. So is this a question which comes in, or is it productized that every branch has access to some sort of a interface where they can log in and search for customers and apply filters and say, okay, only within 5 kilometer radius with land holding of more than 1 acre, show me all farmers, and then you pop that up as a result.
Absolutely. So this is completely platformized, where our data lakes are integrated. There are certain filters, and it allows our customers to upload their data sheets in the form of CSVs, whatever, and they can slice and dice and visualize the information and download that from the platform. Indeed, even create an API to be integrated into their Salesforce, SAP, or whatever process tool they are using. So that's the extent to which we go to make the consumption experience easy, to make the data that they are making these decisions on trustworthy, where it's not just like, okay, Sasha has published some data is on crop. How are we providing the validation that how accurate is the information? Not everything can be ground tested, like each and every village I cannot have this information collected, right? So auxiliary data support, which means that you have a validation tab, and you see what's the patterns, etc. In historically, what is the aggregated numbers government has published in the past, some of the ground truth rate information in and around that area. So this is a complete change in the way imagery from space goes into intelligent data driven decision making for enterprises. That's what at SatSure we do.
Okay. Uh, Give me like a real world example with, let's say, a financial institution. What is the problem statement they came to you with, and what does the product look like for them? How are they using it? What decision making does it lead to?
Right. So the example I gave is also a real world example only.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll give you another one. So one of the first problems that we attempted to solve was uh, shortening the process of sanctioning a loan to a farmer. And our customers are banks. Now, for the banks, the process is broken because there is a need to physically visit the farmer's residence, the farm, get a third party diligence, identify if the land belongs to the farmer, is fragmented, how much portion of it belongs to the farmer, whether he has experience of growing the crop for which he is asking for a loan, what's the availability of water, how what is the region like in terms of droughts, floods, availability to market. There are too many factors, and
Hmm.
not everyone is the expert in agriculture markets within the banks. So we saw this as a very interesting and impactful problem to solve, Akshay, because it seemed a bit unfair that people like you and me would get 10 times a day WhatsApp messages and calls from all kinds of banks, NBFCs, on what loan eligibility we have based on our CIBIL score or CRIF score, right? Why can't that be there for farmers? That's the gap we were filling. That in order to get the farmers have the same user experience as an urban user like us, this is the need of data: the land information, the ownership information, the crop information, and the climate risk information. So by stitching it all together in the form of an alternate credit score report, just like you download a CIBIL or a CRIF report, we essentially shortened the process of 30 day to a few minutes, like 10 to 30 minutes now.
Wow. And this you're saying is not just based on EO or Earth observation data, which comes from satellites, but you're also using multiple other sources of data.
Absolutely. The interesting thing about every use case that we build is that despite all the other data that needs to be brought together for making that digital journey, without the satellite image intelligence piece, it would never work. So in this case, the ability to correctly identify the cropping patterns, the production patterns, the irrigation patterns at a plot level can never be done by any other source in order to meet that few minutes timeline. You cannot send a person or a drone to do that when you receive a
Hmm.
request.
Hmm.
Or and especially when you're measuring risk is all about history. You cannot send again all other data collection tools back in time to collect that data.
How did you build this product for this bank? Because just purely by virtue of having access to Earth observation data from satellites is not going to solve the bank's problem, right? Just take me through the journey of actually building out the solution for the bank.
So look, our backgrounds, when I say our, myself, my co-founder and founding team, was a lot from the space industry side. We used to be working in ISRO, so different domains. We know at least what can be done using satellite data. And the problem of financial inclusion was big enough for us to take a stab at it, which means we went and sold the problem first to the banks. We didn't sell a solution. We didn't have a solution. So, as the banks, some of the early banks, private sector banks like ICICI, IDFC, bought into the thing, the hey, this looks exciting. Actually, if you can solve it. So, we don't know whether you can solve it because we can't evaluate your technical capability. But what you're saying, if you do it, this is transformational. So we entered into pilot agreements 2019 to 2021 with a couple of banks, and used that opportunity to learn about their business process, different user personas, go to the field, see how life in the credit managers day looks like, and essentially created the full product out of the initial capability that we sold in the form of the problem definition.
Okay, interesting. I want like slightly more zoomed in view of how you stitched all of these pieces together. So you understood what the problem was, what the need for data was. Then how did you stitch it all together?
Right. So there were two very important pieces of it. One is how can we improve the confidence on the boundaries of the farm and whom it belongs to.
Okay.
These are two different data sets.
Hmm.
So we have to integrate these two. The second one is how can we build the trust on the precision with which we identify the cropping patterns, because the loan product is linked to the area of the land and the type of the crop. These two are the most important part. It defines the scale of finance, like how much amount of money you provide.
So, like someone who's growing wheat will be eligible for a certain loan value because you know that wheat will be sold at a certain, like there is a certain, uh, like the wheat is worth something. There is a market price for wheat, therefore the loan can be given for a certain amount. Okay, understood. Hmm,
Correct. So
hmm,
these two are the most important part.
hmm.
Everything else were good information to have, which supports the decision on based on these two. Now the boundary ownership piece is something that as the government was executing its digital land record program, that started becoming more and more public data sets, and governments also figured out how they could publish this information through the digital public infrastructure like AgriStack. While the crop identification issue is fairly more complicated in India because you have very small farms and there is too much heterogeneity, meaning that adjacent farms will have different crops, and you don't have large swaths of same crop like you see in US, etc. um, which meant that we needed a lot more field collected data for training the models which are used to identify the crops, unlike in US. And that's not something which was publicly available, unlike again the US. uh, so I would say step by step, we went about it, meaning that a bank would say that, hey, I cannot use your service at full country scale because you know I need to draw confidence on all the crops that we fund. And we cannot do all the crops we fund. So we said, okay, let's filter top five, six crops that constitutes 60% or 70% of your portfolio. So first we developed the capabilities on that, where a precision of 90 to 95% is reached at a farm level across, let's say, the major lending states in the country, which involve.
What are those top five, six crops?
So there will be paddy, wheat, cotton, soybean, sugarcane, oil seeds like mustard, and
Hmm, hmm.
stuff like that, maize.
Okay.
So we developed those capabilities by indulging into both what we call as ground truthing, meaning going to the field, drawing a polygon, taking a picture, marking that okay, this is the crop we saw and all that, while also doing a bit of data barter system with early customers in the piloting phase, that they use their field force and provide us data and we give them a discount on the final intelligence on this imagery. So like that we developed a repository of this data that kept strengthening the algorithms on each of these crops to a point where the banks could say that okay, now we have seen what are the changes in the process because you have enabled a digital journey for land. I'm happy with it. Am I able to take a credit decision yet on your crop? No, but not now until now. But now this, let's say, trust is built on your precision. Now we can take decisions. This goes into our risk and policy. Then last part is how we built a scoring mechanism. Now how the score holds against the real defaults that the banks has faced, backtest that together, so that to like eventually the decision to lend or not lend is a digital process where let's say our score sat score of 780 for a 1 hectare of wheat, 1 lakh rupee auto approval is set, meaning no manual intervention to
Hmm.
do checks is required. So this kind of
780 out of 800,
out of 1,000.
out of 1,000. Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, so this kind of product definition started getting built as the layers after layers of information got added, validated, and then gone through the process. So it's a long, arduous journey to bring change.
Hmm. Okay. So the purpose of a score is essentially for a bank to have confidence that I will get my money back, right? Uh, what is the score based on? So you're saying that what you understood is that the bank needs to make sure that the guy who's applying for the loan is actually the owner, A, and B, the boundary which he's claiming that this particular area is my land is actually his land, and C, that he has experience of growing that crop.
Right. So the score is essentially providing the volatility of the income of the farmer that predicts the potential of default moving forward. So it's a predictive score based on
Hmm.
historical patterns analysis.
What patterns are like what all crop he's grown? Is that how you're analyzing, or?
Because if you know the crop and the production yield here,
Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
have ingested also the market pricing data, because
Hmm.
either it is governed by our states and ministry, like the minimum support pricing, or the cash crops are traded the market, so you have
Hmm.
the pricing data. So
Hmm.
now you can make a upper limit, lower limit of what is the revenue that has been made, and there is a certain cost of cultivation associated with each, let's say, crop per hectare, and
Hmm.
what's the availability of cash and the movement of that season on season for the farmer.
Okay, okay, okay. Uh, So, based on how much he has been growing, what has been his output, and his output you can see because you have historical satellite images.
Hmm.
So, historical satellite images are generally available with high fidelity. Uh, for how many years back? Like, do you get like?
See, a company like us wouldn't have existed only because of this problem. It because not until 2016, uh, satellite imagery of 10-meter resolution, which means 1 pixel is 10 meter by 10 meter. So in 1 acre, you have 40 pixels at least. Uh, this kind of imagery was not openly available. So European Space Agency made that available, and today quite a lot of space agencies now publish data with high fidelity across the globe as a part of uh, their service in the form of digital public good. So a company like us uses that and adds value on top of it. So we, for
Okay.
example, can analyze any point on the earth using this particular set of imagery on a 5-day basis.
Hmm. So, 1 acre is 40 pixels, and so a 40 pixel image, your algorithm is able to predict whether it's wheat or rice.
That's the secret sauce, yes.
Okay, that's pretty amazing. With just 40 pixels, that's phenomenal. That's okay, amazing. Got it. Okay. And how much data did you need to train your algorithm? Because you said you need validation through field data, like to like the algorithm would say this is wheat, but you also need to send a human being and check is it actually wheat, and then tell the algorithm if it's right or wrong to train it.
To
How
be
hard
honest,
was that process? Or
maybe to be honest, it wasn't a lot of data that was required. If we look at it now, compared to so much of the AGI work that's going on,
Hmm.
uh, maybe we would have used about 300,000 data points dispersed across, because you have to be smart about it. It's such a huge country, uh,
Hmm.
and in terms of agriculture area, it's bigger than Australia, US also.
Hmm.
uh, it's very arable India.
Hmm. Hmm.
So statistically sampling the data, like the points where you want to collect data, I think that was the reason where we could reduce the number of this field collection over a period of time.
Mm, okay. And your bank partners help you, like their field force would also provide you human verification of. Uh,
Sometimes, and those are
uh,
not also so easy, because the quality of the data collection would be poor lot.
right. Okay. 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 So, okay. So you took the satellite imagery, which is publicly available and free of cost. And did you also have to pay for any of the data, or most of this is built on like open source data, if I can use that term?
Most of it is based on open source data, weather and satellite images, etc. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, This is like, so essentially the moat for you is the algorithm, the ability to take open source data, put various layers of open source data one on top of another, map those layers with the customer requirement, because a bank has a very specific requirement of what crop is being grown and so on, and then map it with the government land records, and then throw out a score. That is the moat.
I think that's it's a bit oversimplification, I would say, because algorithms come dime a dozen, and that also are way too many. Go to GitHub and say, okay, I want a crop classification model on open data, you will get it. But
Okay.
making it work in the Indian conditions,
Hmm.
to the specifications of what let's say your user wants reliably,
Hmm.
consistently, huh, uh, and adding the decision context layer, because that final thing is an outcome,
Hmm.
credit decision taken, right? uh, that requires very a nuanced translation of the business process, embedded into your process, like your model design, your product design,
Hmm.
and hence it becomes a lot more than just the algorithm, in
Hmm.
my opinion.
Okay. So, business context specific, like the ability to come up with a credit score is not just an algorithm, but it's also the business context, essentially, from what I understand.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Okay, okay, okay. Understood. Very interesting. You spoke of an agri-stack. What is this agri-stack? I was not aware India had an agri-stack.
Oh, yeah, AgriStack is a digital public infrastructure that central government started working, I think, around 2021. And
Hmm.
yeah, it got operationalized late 2023, with Uttar Pradesh state being the first state to implement it for improving the governance and delivery of all the farmer benefit schemes, etc.
But
So
what is the data that? What is it exactly like?
So what AgriStack did was it brought together government data that's either been collected before or is as a process continuously collected. Things like area zone, production, farmer information like boundaries, revenue record, etc. Soil information, subsidy, how much amount of fertilizer subsidy has been given, subsidy has been given. All of this information got aggregated and cleaned up into one single repository of data, which is then made available via APIs to different kinds of organizations that provide services to farmers, with a consent layer of accessing that data, the consent being from the farmer themselves.
Okay. Amazing. That is amazing. I was not aware that we have such an advanced. That's pretty amazing. How how does the consent from the farmer come? Like they get an SMS or something, or they have to share an OTP.
Correct. Not OTP, just SMS that this is the like someone is wanting to access your personal information. See, there
Hmm.
is information at multiple layers. Up to an administrative layer information that is okay, open. They can openly they can be made available. But if it
Okay.
comes to personal information, it has to have a consent of the individual. So, for example, a bank making a check on their land record, credit score, etc. So
Hmm.
that's the consent message that goes,
Okay. Okay.
and
Okay.
they are informed that hey, you are going to get a message
Hmm.
because of this,
Hmm. Hmm.
please
Hmm.
click on that.
Hmm. Okay. Got it. Okay. So, what is this product called? The product which is throwing up the credit score.
It's called sat source, and it's actually part of a larger product suite for the banks, which is called SatSure Sage.
Okay. What else is there besides this credit scoring which we just went through?
So the other one is the village ranking module, which provides the leads that the first example that you are asking me,
Hmm.
and the third one is the monitoring piece, which is called Sat Collect. The continuous monitoring of the performance of the crops across the portfolio, and all the, let's say, changes, anomalies that we are detecting because of drought, stress, flood, all kinds of climatic events that happens, uh, creating a signal for potential default or delinquency for the banks so that they can prioritize their farmer connect accordingly.
Hmm. Okay. So, I mean, once you built the data stack, then these are all different use cases for the same data stack because the monitoring product is taking the same data, it's
Correct.
the same ability to detect what is being grown. Uh, you're able to detect not just what is being grown, but also whether it's healthy or not. Like
Yeah, yeah.
when you're saying,
Stresses, it's healthy or not, and there are it's a complicated kind of event detection engine where news articles, let's say pest or disease attack, prices fell, something like that, triggers immediate anomaly detection algo on the images, and then we run like this is like beyond the scheduled monitoring.
so what, like the color changes to show you that this is pest attacked, or like how does that 40 pixel tell you that this is pest attacked?
Yeah, but pest attack and all will not be just in 40 pixels. It will be like spread across the village for the same crops, right?
Ah,
Uh,
okay. Right, right,
yeah.
right. Got it.
So,
Okay.
and yes, it is through the color changes, which happens because the photosynthesis starts reducing,
Hmm,
and the photosynthesis reduction reduces the chlorophyll content in it, which
hmm,
changes the color. That
hmm,
chlorophyll, that is what is captured by satellites, because the satellite image that you see on a Google map is a color image. It's a RGB like color image, right? What we are analyzing is not just that, it's beyond into narrower bands of infrared spectrum, which provides this kind of signals that are not visible necessarily in the color bands.
okay. Okay, let me zoom out now. Uh, what when you say Earth observation,
Hmm.
what all data is collected? So you said RGB, you said infrared. Can you just first talk more about what is Earth observation? What all data is being collected? How is it being collected? Are these satellites same as, say, the Tesla, sorry, the SpaceX satellites, which are providing internet? Are they similar kind of satellites, but just they have a camera on it, or like just for a complete layman, tell me what is Earth observation and how the Earth is being observed.
No, no, that's a great question. I think we should have started with this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, let's take that zoom out.
Hmm.
The ones that you mentioned, like Starlink, that's for providing internet connectivity. Those are communication satellites. There are different kind of
Hmm.
satellites. Okay,
Hmm.
what we are speaking of is Earth observation, and there is third kind of satellites which is for navigation, like the GPS satellites are for that. So these are the three different kinds of services out of satellites that are created: communication, navigation, Earth observation. Within Earth observation, it is basically uh, you know dip, is basically depending on the discriminating factor of reflectance of different land features, like soil has a different reflectance, vegetation has different reflectance, within vegetation trees have different than crops, within crops different crops have different kinds of reflectance values, taken over a period of time, not necessarily one single time instance, that is used to identify and quantify the changes that are happening on the planet. Now this
One,
is
one, one sec. Sorry. What does reflectance mean?
right. So within Earth observation, there are primarily two types of sensing technology. One is optical and multispectral. The second one is the radars, which is active microwave satellites. I explain what is sensing in that. When what you see from an optical multispectral satellite, in that camera there is a sensor, like any other camera. So in that sensor captures the light that is reflected from the surface of the earth. Because of the sun, you are
Hmm.
getting the reflection from the earth,
Hmm.
and that reflection passes through different filters of different bands of NIR and all, the basic physics that we were studying in ninth. And that creates the image within the camera, just like any other camera here. And this is called what uh, you know passive remote sensing. With passive remote sensing is basically optical and multispectral satellites. Hyperspectral is a niche. So you mentioned Pixel. So Pixel is a peer company, good friend of ours, partner of ours actually. They are on they are basically making these satellites which have very narrow bands, like instead of let's say 10 band, which is a multispectral satellite, okay, they will have 200, 300 bands which are much narrower and are able to even go down to a property of a soil and identify potentially minerals, etc. So it's a specialized form of optical multispectral satellite. The other one is the active remote sensing,
Which
which
is
is
the
where
radar?
the radar. So
Okay.
radars operate in the microwave part of the electromagnetic spectrum. So optical multispectral is basically your with gear,
Light.
RGB, and then the towards the red
Hmm.
part of the spectrum.
Hmm.
Okay, thermal infrared, near infrared, etc. On the other end of the electromagnetic spectrum is microwave. Beyond that is UV rays and all. So my
Hmm.
this operates in microwave part of spectrum, but this is an active sensor because it doesn't need the sun reflectance of the earth from the sat from because of the sun rays. Here it is sending an active pulse. Okay, as a radar, it is sending an
Hmm.
active pulse to the earth's surface while it is moving at 7 kilometers per second, and receiving it back.
Hmm.
And based on the path, based on the characterization of that pulse as it comes back, it is able to tell you the features that it's looking. So the difference here is that when even if there is no light, like at night, or with huge clouds, you will still get a good sense of what's happening with SAR. In optical context, optical multispectral, clouds will mean that you'll have to again attempt to capture the same image in the next attempt.
What is SAR?
Synthetic aperture radar, sorry.
Okay. Okay. So it's a type of radar. Okay.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
it's a radar.
So
Yeah.
the radar one is relatively easier to understand. It works just like any radar works. It pings and the ping
Yes.
reflects back, and based on that, it's able to see land features. Okay. So I understand that. So is the land like whatever? Is there a building there? Is there a room there? Is there a tower there? Whatever. So those things would be what the radar one would do. Um, Multispectral, hyperspectral, these are still I'm still struggling a bit to understand these, to be honest. I don't know if you can simplify these a little further.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So very difficult to do that without visuals. I feel, in
uh,
if you look at a image visual, it becomes easier because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah,
recall the plus two physics stuff, that
yeah.
electromagnetic spectrum,
Uh,
and
and
these
I'm a commerce student, so that makes it doubly hard for me.
yes, yes, but it's basic. It's just how your camera works.
Hmm, hmm,
You take your phone camera or DSLR, whatever.
hmm.
So at night, in dark, your camera will not collect any information, right? Because it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
seeing
yeah, yeah. Yes.
Exactly same. Just take this
Uh,
camera up in
uh,
space,
uh.
sensor, mirror.
So
It's
optical multispectral is one single thing, or these are two separate things?
it
Optical
can
and
be it can be same or it can be separate also, meaning that in a camera you can put only the optical part, which is the color images, RGB, etc.
hmm, hmm.
RGB, that's it. Okay.
Okay.
But multispectral would be this near infrared, short wave infrared. Now there are big satellites that can accommodate all of these filters in one
Hmm.
single telescope, like the
Okay.
camera here.
Okay.
Whereas smaller satellites which will only go with RGB, just the optical. But
Okay.
the principles of working is same, which is why I categorize that under the same, passive.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. Multispectral is just a better sensor on your camera, essentially.
That's it.
Like
And
a
hyperspectral is
simple.
like even better.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
but,
Got it.
but these
Uh,
comes with the trade-offs. That's the only thing. There are
so,
different trade-offs. Yeah.
what is the additional information that you're getting through infrared?
So in infrared, the reflectance of, let's say, I mean, there are different bands within infrared also.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
reflectance of water, soil, vegetation, these are very nuanced
Okay.
as against in color
Hmm.
images. For example, you can kind of quantify the changes in moisture of your canopy and your soil through this kind of
Infrared
sensors.
data. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's not just 40 pixels of RGB on the basis of which you are telling which crop he's growing, but it's all of this additional information which you're getting from infrared, ultraviolet, which is helping you to uh, accurately identify what is the crop, what is the health of the crop, things like that.
absolutely. Because
Mm.
within that 40 pixels in one single timestamp, you
Mm.
will have 13 different band information. So it's like a stack.
Mm.
Okay, now
Right.
you keep imaging the same place again and again with 13 bands, so you have a very dense information.
Very dense information. Okay. So this is like a massive amount of data which you need to crunch, store and crunch. And like I'm assuming your AWS bill must be pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, we are technically a very big data play,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
also very important and key partner for AWS in the region. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So now you've told me how like the camera works within the satellite, but I want to go little more zoomed out. What are the I believe even in satellites there's like low Earth orbit and stuff like that. Are there different types of satellites, different types of orbits? What are the satellites which are collecting this data? Who's running them? Why is this available for free? How is it being monetized? Like someone, I mean, there's no such thing as free, right? Someone is paying for it. So I want to understand that a little bit more. Who's operating these satellites and so on?
Right. So not all satellite data is free. The
Hmm.
only some of the public space agencies satellite data will be free, which is a good amount of data. Now, who is paying for it? Of course, taxpayers. Why should it be free? Because it is a digital public good. We should, be able to build such kind of applications that has a economic and social impact on the country. Right.
Okay.
So the position to make such data free was actually taken initially by USGS, US government, and followed by European Union, who devised this multi-decade long program to make the commercial use cases research. Accelerate research on this kind of data as a larger, I would say, long-term vision of uh, adapting to climate change, driving sustainability innovations,
Okay.
and solving real life problems.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. Got it. Okay. There's like say GPS that which helps us navigate. That's free, right? Like, and that is so similar to that. So that's also like a public infrastructure, a digital public
exactly.
infrastructure. So similar to that, this data is by these government space agencies is provided for free.
Absolutely. But just
Hmm.
like in GPS, what you get is a civilian signal with a 5
Hmm.
meter XY like positional accuracy,
Hmm.
whereas the military signal of sub-meter positional accuracy is secured. It's only with the US government. So same
Okay.
is the case with Earth imaging satellites.
Hmm.
Low resolution satellite like this 10-meter pixel, even ISRO has a 5.8-meter pixel image called resource sat. It's free now.
Hmm.
But very high resolution images like what you see on Google Maps, for example, those are produced by commercial companies like Maxar, Airbus. So you will see attribution even on Google Maps that these are contributed by Google. So they pay. Google Maps essentially pays these satellite operators to provide what they call as base map.
Okay, okay, okay. What what is the orbit? What are the type of satellites which are doing this? So these are essentially launched by, say, a European Space Agency or an ISRO or an NASA or like the Japanese Space Agency. They
Yeah.
are organizing these satellite. They are launching these satellites and maintaining them, and the data is beaming back to them, and then they are uploading this data on the cloud, making it available for research use.
Yeah, so the Earth imaging satellites, which we are using for our purposes, these are all low Earth orbit satellites.
Hmm.
The ones that we use, commercial and space agency included, would be anywhere between 400 to 700 kilometers from the surface of the Earth. The GPS ones, on the contrary, are in medium Earth orbit, which is 8,000 kilometers from the surface of the Earth. The
Wow.
weather satellites that we are having, those are in geostationary orbit, which is 36,000 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. So these are the three most utilized orbits. There are some specialized orbits as well.
Hmm. Okay. So, what are each of these orbits for? Like, what's the reason why Earth observation is on low Earth orbit? Obviously, because your camera cannot capture from 36,000 kilometers, right? But just can you, like, again, for a layman, just break down each of these three layers of low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, and geostationary orbit? What do each of these mean?
Yeah, so look, low Earth orbit is basically it's been historically the orbits for imaging satellite, because otherwise you'll have to build huge telescopes
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
be able to see the Earth at the kind of information density you get. So that's a engineering trade-off that okay, I'm gonna send my satellites up to maybe 500 kilometers. My satellite size is 200 kg, and it will have a life of maybe 8 years. If let's say you had to do the same specification of image capture, let's say 1 meter resolution at 36,000 kilometers orbit, the size of that satellite will explode so much that you
Yeah, it'll be
can't
like
really.
Hubble or James Webb Telescope or
Yeah.
something like that. Huh. Okay,
So the
got
use
it.
case defines the orbits. For
Hmm.
example, a GPS, it's an 8,000 kilometer orbit because the functioning of your GPS is to give you your location and the movement velocity with which you are going, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so for that to happen, if you are putting these satellites in lower orbit, so it has a much smaller spread. Think of it like this is Earth's surface. You come here, low Earth orbit. This is like only small area. You take it
Hmm.
8,000, it has much bigger area that it can
Yeah,
cover.
that
You
can
take
see.
it to
Yeah.
36,000 kilometers,
Hmm.
then your signal strength will only reduce. Then you don't
Hmm.
have the necessary latency with which you get
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
there are so many factors of the use cases that defines this what we call as the
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
mission specification.
And what is the geostationary orbit for?
Well, traditionally that has been used for communication satellites and weather satellites, and that's also continues. But the communication satellite has
So
purpose.
communication means like the Starlink
No, no.
internet.
So, that's what I was explaining. So communication historically has been broadcasting, DTH, that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
Okay, and even there was like mobility on the sea, in the air,
Hmm.
for that purpose. However, Starlink changed the game here because they prioritize internet. Now, internet from 36,000 kilometer came with a higher latency, but obviously to bring the satellites down to low Earth orbit and provide internet connectivity required more number of satellites. Now you can
Hmm.
contextualize why Elon Musk is sending 10,000 plus satellites there. Okay,
Hmm.
but he could because he owned the rocket.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
hence since these satellites, Starlink satellites, OneWeb satellites, which are meant for internet connectivity, are also in low Earth orbit.
Okay, because you need low latency, whereas for a broadcast, there is nothing which is being sent back as such. It's just one-way signal, and
Yeah.
even if there is some latency of a few seconds, it's not a big deal. Got it. That will not work on internet connectivity. Okay, understood. What is the number of Earth observation satellites which are currently out there?
uh, yeah, I don't know, maybe 1200 or so, because there are
That's it.
military,
Okay,
yeah, there are military satellites also, something.
well, small number compared to like 10,000 of Starlink that Elon Musk wants to do. Okay,
Yeah, yeah. I'm feeling
okay.
like I'm some space rapper on chat gpt right now.
Okay. But the 1200 is a good enough number for whatever Earth observation data that one needs.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's not good enough per se, because there are several data gaps that happens. You know, out of the 1200, a huge portion of it is military satellites, so those are not commercially available. So yeah, if you bring that context, it's not enough what you have in terms of Earth imaging satellites. Like, if you have to take a geopolitical context around it, China would have about 300 satellites which are doing the Earth imaging, and India has what, eight government. I'm speaking of government
Hmm.
satellites. So
Hmm.
if you have to kind of look at benchmarking, that is the asset deficit.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Uh, and does China make the data available? Do you have access to that?
China also makes some the low resolution their
Okay.
satellites data available.
Hmm. So you said there are some gaps in the data. What are those gaps? What is it that you is on your wish list? What you currently don't have?
It's all right now coming up. For example, hyperspectral data, that is not commercially so rampant. Indeed, Pixel has been a path breaker in building their satellite constellation, followed by, I would say, Y1, which is a Canadian company. Then there are data gaps in core thermal infrared. What we are using is near infrared, short infrared, thermal infrared. Companies like SatView, Hydrosat, Constel IR, these are companies which are building it. So, yeah, they are fairly new companies, young companies. So, maybe a few years from now, and that gap also will be filled by such companies.
And how will this thermal data help you in better decisioning for your clients?
Oh, a lot of things. You can identify urban heat islands, and monitor them, uh, and then you can do so many things. I mean, just as a very vanilla flavored example, for uh, uh, relatability, you can drive advertisements of buying ACs.
Okay. 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 Or you could tell quick commerce like Zepto and Blinkit
Yeah,
that stock more ice cream here.
talking is still there. Yeah.
Uh, uh,
So, because you
okay.
get hyper local thermal data.
Okay. Okay. Fascinating. Okay. So we've covered one product of agricultural use case. What are your other products?
Right. So for us, we have always looked at our business from a land feature that we can identify using the images. So one is, so at the top level there is vegetation. Within vegetation you have the crop and the trees. So I explained couple of use cases what we
Crop
do.
related. Yeah.
Crop. I'll explain on the tree part, because when we look at an image, we are not just looking at crops, we are looking at trees, roads, buildings, everything. So the best utilization of your image and your infrastructure is if you have models that can analyze all of these features, and you package and provide solutions to different customers from the same data using the same similar models and same software platform infrastructure. So from a trees perspective, there are multiple things. One first is in providing trustworthy data ecosystem for governments who are spending money on afforestation programs, because they have raised external capital also from international funders like World Bank, JICA, etc. So they need to also show that how the capital utilization has been, what's the impact metrics, etc. So this becomes a very important tool for them to not just demonstrate the effectiveness of the program and its implementation, but also to have continued deadlines and keeping these programs running. Second is in tackling deforestation, which is an important aspect. uh, you have human wildlife, human nature conflict going on everywhere, and the ability to act fast, seeing the deforestation triggers, is something that every government today prioritizes. Third is how do you also help governments to kind of connect these natural assets as part of their land here to monetize in carbon markets, because trees are one of the biggest sources of sequestering carbon into the from the atmosphere. So uh, identifying what is the carbon stock and how it's moving, etc., helps the governments to build or engage into product projects that are globally acceptable to play in the liquid like carbon bonds and this
Carbon credits.
larger, yeah, carbon credits market. Now this is one part of the forestry part.
Okay,
Then comes.
one quick second. Sorry. Uh, Many people may not be aware of this carbon credit thing, but essentially, like there are bodies which will pay dollars for carbon reduction, and the way to claim those dollars is by showing proof that you have reduced carbon, either by growing trees or whatever. And so, this is the market that we are speaking about here, like the carbon credit market. Am I correct in my summary? Or?
Yeah, yeah, that's the.
Okay. ठीक है, got it. Okay. So for this carbon credit market plus fighting deforestation plus uh, project monitoring for afforestation projects. So you actually have government clients, or you're like talking of this as a like a possible line of business.
No, no, we have government clients. We have been working with government of Rajasthan in India for
Hmm.
more than a year now. We
Hmm.
have other like state government clients that we are working with. I mean, at least the government of Rajasthan portal is public. There's a YouTube video. The
Okay.
others, I don't know if yeah, you can speak. But yeah,
Got
this
it.
is a.
Okay. Understood.
But it's
Yeah.
not just in India. We are working outside of India as well. We are working in Australia across forestry and agri there.
Okay, okay. So in Australia, it would probably be to fight deforestation. Like you would send an alert that somebody's cutting a tree here. Like that's what the alert is, that someone's cutting trees here.
And if that is legal deforestation or not. Legal meaning that they have
Huh.
taken permission to clear some part of the forest to do something else.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay, okay. So you also ingest the data of who's taken permissions. That permissioning data is available with you, so you're able to
That is
flag
with
this
our
as.
Australian partner.
Okay, that's with your Australian partner. Got it. Okay, okay, okay. Eh, okay, understood. So this is your second product about trees. Okay, yeah. Please carry on.
Yeah, but in trees there are other things also that are important. For example, there is a compliance angle to it. Now we export a lot of different commodities, agri commodities like coffee, tea, soya. All of these require the sustainability certification to be exported at the right price to markets like Europe, Japan, US, etc. And there are norms now, international norms, to show proof that the produce has not been sourced from farms that were previously forests.
Ah, okay.
So the only way to do that is satellite images, by the way,
Hmm.
and it is also to be done within certain like plot level. So again, the same land record ingestion, etc., that we have anyway done comes into play here also. And this is not just for the producers and traders. There is compliance angle for also the FMCG companies who are finally sourcing it, like the Unilevers, Nestle's of the world, and the banks who are funding them in terms of ESG reporting. So ESG reporting requires to prove that they have not funded deforestation in their portfolio. So
Okay. Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, I mean, look, the thing is,
Here,
our,
your paying customer would be the FMCG company, right? Not these individual farmers.
yeah. So
Hmm.
we have plethora of customers across
Hmm.
FMCG companies, customers, banks are customers for this.
Ah, okay, for the ESG. But
Yeah,
in India, there's no ESG focus with banks, right? Like these would be global banks.
yeah, these are global banks.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. Good. And again, just for my listeners, essentially, ESG is environment, social governance, and
Sustainability governance.
sustainability and governance. Sorry. Okay, environment, sustainability, governance. Essentially, in the West, if you are an ESG company, which means you are doing good things for environment, sustainability, governance, then you get loans at a lower rate of interest, and which is why then banks need to validate and make sure that you're not just doing something which is known as greenwashing, but you're genuinely working on ESG. Okay, understood. Okay, so yeah, understood this product also. Have we covered your portfolio of products, or are there other use cases?
We will never be able to cover that in an hour. But yeah, it's kind of adjacencies out of adjacencies, because the
Hmm,
same ability of us to detect these trees, type of trees, species of trees. Like for example, we work with FMCG companies on tree species identification also, because they do the sourcing of pulpwood, for example, eucalyptus, etc. We have to do also heights of trees there, and this leads us directly into power line industry. Why? Because power lines, they have to route, they have assets that are going through forested areas, and there are high chances of wildfire, and any kind of storm that leads to the trees falling on top of uh, the wires, which again is service disruption, lot of money. So even transmission companies are our customers, because they need to do the right of way management. The right of way is essentially the clearance within the wooded areas through which the transmission lines goes.
okay, fascinating. Okay, what else in terms of product lines?
Well, we have like aviation product and insurance product here. But yeah, I mean, these are again not the industries seem like a sudden change, but the capabilities on the technology stack remains the same. If we are detecting heights of trees, you remove the tree, make it a building, we can detect the heights of buildings also, we can detect the building footprints also, right? So that goes into your airport perimeter monitoring, the changes across the airport perimeter which leads to changes in the flight path charts, procedures, all of that digitized in a single platform. So as I said, we are not selling just intelligence, we're translating that into outcomes. So
Hmm.
an airport operator and their survey department, cartographic department don't have to keep on now, manually making all of that if within like for months. It is auto generated and validated on our platform.
And are you working with Indian operators or like global also?
Both. So we work with Airport Authority of India. They have been an anchor tenant client for us since 2021,
Hmm.
and yeah, we also work now outside of India
Okay,
on
and
aviation.
okay, and insurance.
Same here. We have both Indian and
What is the insurance product like? Just tell me the product first.
I mean, whatever I told you, buildings, trees, etc., what crops, when it gets damaged, you have to do loss adjustment, remote assessment of how much is the damage. So this is where your before after analysis becomes very critical. That's what we provide.
This for crop insurance specifically, or like what kind of
All
insurance?
even buildings, no buildings, roofs, roof caved in, earthquake.
Okay.
What is the level of damage?
Hmm.
What is the loss adjustment against the sum insured? Those are the things, decisions that are made based on the image intelligence data that is provided.
Okay. So instead of sending a surveyor on field, this is all done through Earth observation.
Yeah, because the customer experience, if an insurance company can say within 10 days I can clear your claim,
Hmm.
versus 90-day process because the adjuster could not come to your place.
Hmm.
So obviously people want to simplify it for the final consumer. Hence, these are the digital, let's say, trends that leads to satellite Earth Intelligence becoming a silent backend partner for all such initiatives.
Okay. You might be aware, Lenskart bought out this company called GeoIQ. Uh,
Yes, the geolocation intelligence company.
so what was that for? That was for like similar. Their output is similar, like telling Lenskart what's the best place to set up a store.
Yes, but that's based on so basically you source public data like population, socioeconomic data. You generate some data yourself on top of it, and then you bound them into, let's say, pin codes, areas, etc. And then you say that, okay, based on my mechanism of rating these factors, this is the best area. So that does not include this kind of computer vision applied to satellite
Okay,
images.
that's not Earth observation. It's just the other data which is layered one on top of
Yeah,
another
yeah, it's
without
location
the
intelligence data.
EO data.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. What are the big untapped opportunities which you haven't even touched so far?
well, there are millions of it. To be honest, I don't know.
Low
I think
hanging, like which are the low hanging fruits which you
low hanging
like? You
fruit.
haven't mentioned much in terms of retail or marketing, in those spaces.
Yeah, I don't think there is a enormous value that companies like us can add in those spaces. Maybe
Why
oil
is
and
that?
see, intelligence from satellite doesn't compete uh, in with any other sensor like the drone versus satellite. That argument itself is stupid. uh, so we compete with human intelligence. Okay, when I
Hmm.
say human intelligence, can a person do this faster, cheaper, and at lower and with high reliability, with consistency,
Hmm.
which means any kind of intelligence that you draw over large area assets, whether
Hmm.
it is forest, crops, or roads, or transmission, all of these things, huge span. There it becomes a slam dunk. Wherever it's like city retail intelligence for city, you send people, you will get so much more richer data, because satellite will give you one dimension. In the rural
Hmm.
areas, or this, it becomes very difficult and costly.
Okay. So it's costly to cover large land area, which is where EO helps. But if it's a dense, if there's high density,
Yeah,
it's much cheaper to just have a guy on a bike roam the area and give you that local level
absolutely.
intelligence. And okay, 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 very interesting. Okay, so what made you want to quit ISRO? Like, take me through your career path and your journey a little bit. Like, how did you end up joining ISRO? What did you do there?
So it's been some time, 12 years. I quit ISRO because I wanted to do my further studies. So yeah, that was the trigger point for me, because otherwise I'd have to wait a lot of time, since uh, within an organization there are people who are more senior to you who may be waiting also. So yeah, that was a personal call. And yeah, I ended up going to France and doing my masters. That was what triggered.
And then, after you did your masters, which year was this when you did your masters?
2013 to 2014.
Okay. Then, what did you do after that? Like, what led to the birth of SatSure? That take me through that journey.
SatSure was born in 2017. In
Hmm.
between 2014 and 2017, I was working with a boutique research and consultancy firm for space sector called Northern Sky Research. And yeah, that's
That
where
was
I
also in Earth observation, like similar.
it was like overall all communication, earth observation, everything,
Hmm.
manufacturing, like everything related to space sector
Hmm.
consultancy.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a Boston based company, and I was initially an analyst within the earth observation and small satellites segment of practice, we should say. So yeah, I got the opportunity to work with interesting entrepreneurs, VCs, large companies who already are in the business, and at mostly senior level, which kind of helped me also understand the nuances, the big picture of the industry. I think that was quite instrumental in having the, let's say, first form of the vision of why SatSure should exist.
Like, why should it exist? What was the gap that you saw?
Well, the main gap was the structure of the market itself, that it was more supply centric and not demand centric. People were launching satellite without telling precisely what problems are they solving, because they know that if they launch satellites, which is an engineering, like it's a difficult engineering problem to do, whatever be the case, defense will anyway buy something out
Hmm.
of it,
Hmm.
because they are always hungry for more data.
Hmm.
So all the capabilities was you know directed without specific outcomes, and especially the kind of outcomes that I thought are more relevant to our part of the world, the global south. Um I think some of the companies also were starting to do well, like Planet, which is now a listed company. They did very well, and that gave us confidence that this is possible, it's feasible. We just have
Planet
to.
is again this at the intersection of Earth observation and AI.
Yeah, I mean, they have been primarily on the Earth observation side. They operate the largest fleet of satellites. They're a San Francisco-based company, and
Okay,
now
they own the asset also, so they're like a hardware plus software kind of a company.
they own the hardware, and they are now building the analytics layer. Like that. That's the main focus
Okay.
for them now,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
is exactly opposite of SatSure, where we have built the analytics and software layer,
Hmm.
and now we are doing backward integration and launching our satellites.
Okay. Okay. So I'll revisit this backward integration part. But yeah. Okay. So you saw that essentially you saw that people are launching satellites, and like if you build it, they will come kind of an approach that if you create satellites, use cases will come up. And you saw that there are a lot of use cases now. We've just gone through a whole bunch of them where humans can be replaced through AI plus Earth observation, and that was the trigger point to start SatSure.
Yeah.
And what was the uh, like you essentially started your the journey with the banks only, like that was the first customer that you built for?
No, actually, we started our journey with government.
Okay.
Yeah.
The forest
No, no,
what?
with agriculture only.
Okay. What was that first like the first project you did?
The first project we did was in a district called Srikakulam in Andhra Pradesh. Because it was chicken and egg problem for us, that if we go to a commercial company, they will ask who has validated. If
Hmm.
we go to a government, they will say who is using it already.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So among the two of them, the government customer at that time seemed an easier one to crack, because agriculture is primarily a state subject, and there is always intent to do more for the farmers there. So I happened to kind of meet through a good friend of mine, Mr. Ram Mohan Naidu, was a member of Parliament of Srikakulam. He's today the Union Minister of Civil Aviation.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Okay.
and he was at that time serving his first, I think, tenure as an MP, and he was just a year older to me. He's very
Hmm.
young, very dynamic. So something he saw, and he said, "Yeah, okay, what do you need from me?" I was like, "Okay, if you do a pilot project with in your district, we need support from." Like, he wrote a letter to the district collector that to help these boys. They are trying to do something interesting. If it works, it's good, and it will look good for the state and for the farmers. So that letter was what we went to the DC, and he was also quite curious. He enabled us to visit farmers, visit the agriculture university scientists, so that we can be guided well. And I think that project, as we completed, we learnt a lot. That gave us the opportunity to also go and pitch for a larger work with Andhra Pradesh government, and through a summit, a challenge called AP AgTech Summit in 2017 November, which was backed by Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We also got the opportunity to pitch there, and we won the challenge with international jury selecting our approach to solving that problem. And couple of months from there, we had the government of Andhra Pradesh, under leadership of Chandrababu Naidu, almost seed funding us with a 5 crore purchase order.
What was the problem you were solving for the government?
It was essentially a digital crop monitoring system where we would build all of these capabilities of vision based crop identification, identifying the sowing progression, harvest progression, because we realized that some of the decisions etc requires these rate indicators, like what's happening throughout the cycle. So that helps them to give contingency plans through the Krishi Vegyanik centers. Harvesting means that's a signal for them to provide the services to farmers like tractors, etc., and all of that. So we mapped out clearly our capability development requirement to serve the banks and insurers, which is crop
Hmm,
detection and yield,
hmm.
and expanded it to meet the government's ask.
Okay, okay, amazing. You bootstrapped this for quite a while, right? So these government projects were what were paying the bill.
Yeah, yeah. So we bootstrapped for all well, 4.5 years. Yeah,
Hmm, hmm.
and
And was it uh, voluntary, or you were forced to bootstrap because nobody was funding?
see, in my previous job, I had interfaced a lot with both VCs and bankers.
Hmm,
And this is circa 2017-18, peak, FOMO on fintech and e-com, and then edtech
hmm.
during COVID.
Yep.
So, we are fighting for the same pool of capital, right? And we are
Hmm.
there is so much complexity to explain to a VC. So, like, why to waste time and do this? Just be capital efficient, keep costs low, get customers to pay for it, and at least get to a thesis of how will you show exponential growth. Like, all companies need not go to VCs. It's only when you need to grow fast you need that capital.
So 21, when you raised your first round, you reached a certain thesis that okay, this is the path to growth, and this is why I need funds. What were the answers? That why do you need funds, and how will you grow?
Because we had to launch the banking product in 2022. So
Okay. Okay. So you could clearly see that there's a large market. What is the size of the market that you are catering to? Like, I'm sure you would have put some TAMs and all those
Uh,
numbers
you know,
and decks.
I'll say some number which is
Yeah,
based on bottoms up calculation. It's okay. It's
yeah.
like it's a big tab. Just think about it. It's a big tab. Like a cred, for example, built a business around credit card users, which would be about 1.5 crore of Indians.
Hmm,
Now you imagine now how many farmers are there in the country
yeah.
and what all services. So
Hmm,
yeah,
hmm, hmm.
so it's a
Okay.
much bigger TAM, but a slightly unproven market. Urban niche users are,
Hmm.
of course, better bets. This is a
Okay.
national bet. This is
Okay.
this is not just money, but also potential to create impact through technology.
Okay. Okay. Your founding team is all ISRO folks. Like you have two other founders, right? One or two founders.
Yes.
So uh, how did you build that commercial culture? Because coming from ISRO, I'm sure it's not in the DNA to think customer first, product first, revenue first. How did you solve those problems of becoming financially viable as a business?
When you bootstrap for 4 years and survive, this is survival instinct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right?
Right, right, right.
Every business, it lies between your top line and bottom line. So
Yeah, yeah,
at the end of the day, what we do at SatSure also helps people either make more money or save money.
huh, huh. How do you price it? Like, is there a like? It's a every case is priced individually, or is there a like a science on how you're pricing it, or is there some thesis you found, like advice on how
It
to
is value
price?
driven. It is very much a custom pricing for
Hmm.
people. So we
Uh,
don't disclose the pricing how
Okay.
we do it. Because we go to the depths of what business value are we actually delivering
Hmm.
here,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's a fraction of it.
Hmm. Like how many man hours you're saving? Essentially, that's the.
Yeah,
In most cases, you're saving them a lot of man hours.
exactly.
Hmm. Okay. Uh, so I think from what I understand, your business is not exactly like a full self-service productized business, but it's a mix of consulting and product, right? Because I'm
Absolutely.
sure every time a new customer comes in, there is a lot of consulting initially before it becomes a product.
Absolutely. Not every place. With the banks, it's fully productized. It's like one single API people can integrate in
Yeah,
their
that
loan.
is highly repeatable, like people coming for loans. But
Yeah.
the, like, say, the forest thing, is that also totally product, or is that like consulting?
So the thing is, the notion that people have when we say product is that there should be a nice web UI, SaaS subscription, etc. To us, the product is everything that happens behind that,
Hmm.
because that's where the entire repeatable, reusable, all data models, etc. comes in, right?
Hmm.
So that one fine layer of application for the end user is the consulting part.
Ah,
Everything.
got it. Okay. So the product is for your internal team to use, essentially. Your internal team can very quickly answer any question a customer comes to you with by using the product, which is all of the set of capabilities which you have built out.
Right. And when we create a thin client layer on top of it,
Hmm.
understanding what they want, how they want to consume this data, and
Hmm.
then they also get access to the same data sets that we have access to, maybe yeah, limited,
What is the kind of team you've built?
meaning size or
No, I mean, like these people who interface with clients, are they data scientists or are they business analysts? Like what and so just from that structure, like what are the different
it,
teams
it's a
within the
mix.
organization who's doing what?
So interfacing with clients are done by uh, people who are who have lived a technical life before, and have adopted a salesy hat.
So these
Uh,
are not like MBA folks who are like, okay.
these are mostly tech folks, IITs, my college IST, who
Okay.
have kind of donned a more technology consultative action,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
the sales team and them work together.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, have you heard of the term called forward deployed team?
No. What does that mean?
So it became a very commonly used term nowadays because of the AI wave. So forward deployed engineers are those guys who do the necessary plumbing with a customer to get the model, etc. Like architected within their existing ecosystem. So they are folks who can write their own codes, have deep domain expertise, and act like savvy business consultants. So this entire concept was actually invented by a company called Palantir. We started in 2003. Now it's $100 billion listed company.
Hmm.
Uh, what we do in our context, we don't need the software engineers. We have the forward deployed team, which is a combination of your product manager, your data scientist, your business analyst, and your sales team,
Hmm.
who anchors them, and
Hmm.
they do the cracking.
How did you build sales capability? Because I mean, as a founder, you can go get a few doors open, but how do you scale it up beyond yourself?
So, first and foremost is um, I learned the hard way that unless a product uh, has truly achieved PMF, it's important that the founder only does the sales.
Hmm.
So once it is achieved, which is where I think the signal can be a bit fuzzy, is considering we are shaping markets and monetizing at the same time. Um then you can bring in a sales team because you have a proper SOP, that this is my customer persona, this is that list of similar customers, this is how you sell you. So having that certainty on the process, the product, and the customer journey is when you build a sales team. And for that, it's okay, anyone who's selling to banks, fintech solutions can come and sell this also, as
Hmm.
long as they don't have to come and answer ki wo 40 pixels mein ye wo kaise aaya and all that stuff, because we have gone through that.
Right, 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 right. Okay, okay, okay. Fascinating. How supportive is the VC ecosystem today for deep tech? Like you have now, I think till date raised more than $15 million, right? So
We have raised about $25 million.
$25 million. Wow. Okay. What were the various rounds, various stages? I think your first round was a 5 million round, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, right. And then we did a 15 million round.
Okay.
And then there is some 5 million we raised through both grant as well as existing our investors only.
Ah,
So
okay.
to me, see, we we started working way before deep tech was a thesis. we way before space tech was hot in India, and hence most of the current VCs with deep tech thesis didn't have one when we were looking to raise money. So we were lucky to have a few good investors, backers at an early stage. So Baring Private Equity India is our lead investor, and it was very interesting because their entire history is coming from large private equity, public market investments. Indeed, I think they still hold more than 1% HDFC. So them doing a smaller fund early stage thing was interesting. Why? Because they didn't come with a thesis that, as an early stage investor, I'm going to be ag tech or fintech or climate tech or whatever. Their fundamental question was, can, who is buying your stuff? Why are they buying? We want to understand that. We will
Hmm.
frame our thesis, how big this is. And the other thing is, how did you sell? How are you executing? We want to understand that. And basic fundamentals of business. So they underwrote, I think, the market potential of what we do. They underwrote the founders, and rest. I think they allowed us the freedom to run our experiments on both the GTM and tech, so that we continue moving forward.
Hmm. Okay, okay. This 15 million round that you did is because now you said you are doing backward integration and you are actually owning satellites now. So this is to fund that.
Yeah, we are not owning the satellites yet. So yes, this round was in order to build the capability to make the hardware piece as well, and of course also refine our go to market internationally on the AI analytics piece. So now we will be raising more capital to fund the commissioning of the assets through the public-private partnership initiative by InSpace that our consortium won. So Pixel was the lead, SatSure and Dhruva Space and PeerSat are the other partners in that.
What is this in space thing? Can you just zoom in a bit on that?
It's first of its kind public-private partnership to have a privately built and operated constellation of Earth observation satellites that you know will serve the domestic country needs, as well as built in a way that it's internationally. Also, it basically they support to create a international Earth observation company out of India. So by coming together, Pixel, SatSure, Dhruva, PeerSide, we essentially created a very unique single company or SPV here, which has all types of sensors: SAR, hyperspectral, optical, multispectral, everything,
And the algorithm layer and the because that
and the
comes from
algorithm
you.
layer and the ground
Hmm.
stations, etc.
Hmm.
Everything
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
one
Hmm.
place.
And Dhruva Space is the ground stations.
Yes. Have
Okay.
you spoken to
Okay.
them?
Yeah, I've interviewed Sanjay. Yeah, but that was like 2 years back, so it's been a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you didn't ask all the questions on Leo, Mio, Geo to him?
2 years ago, so I forgot.
Okay,
Plus, somebody who'll be listening to this will be in that frame where they wouldn't have heard a 2-year-old episode. So, yeah, I just wanted to make it easy to access. Uh, okay.
got it.
Um, so, so you formed an SPV, and so this the government is funding this. You said, or it's partly government funding, partly private funding.
It's primarily private funded. The
Hmm.
government had offered to part fund it here, but we are doing it ourselves because we it was anyway part of our business plan. Pixel is
Hmm.
making their constellation, we are making ours. So taking government money at that time didn't seem like a great idea, because this is a first time initiative. We wanted to move fast as well.
Hmm. 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 What is the public here in this public-private partnership? What is the government doing?
The government is acting as the anchor for it in terms of reviewing the progress, providing the technical expertise, working on getting buyback commitments, because even now about 200 crores, I think, annually, civilian different departments they buy data from foreign companies. Our
Okay.
forces
Hmm.
buy data from foreign companies, which is totaling to some another 400 500 crores. So if your captive market with very little awareness already is a 800 crore data market, what can you make it if you bring everyone together? Data platform solutions.
Hmm. So, okay, I guess in that TAM question, I didn't actually pin you down on specific numbers, but you're saying that the various parts of the government of India are already spending close to 800 crores buying Earth observation data and intelligence.
Yes, between defense requirements across the different forces as well as civilian,
Hmm.
it is that much.
Wow. So, globally, this is like India would obviously be a very small spender. Globally, this would be a pretty massive spend that is already there. What is that number, the TAM number?
Globally, so it's very big. U.S. defense alone consumes, I think, $4 billion of imagery a year, and
Wow.
I'm just speaking of solutions on top of it.
Okay.
And if you look at it, how much governments spend on space, especially space defense, it's quite high. I think recently Germany constituted a $35 billion space defense fund.
Hmm.
It's all over the news. France has like a space fund of only space technology fund of $5 billion and 100 billion for AI on top of that.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So this is a massive market, essentially. This market for Earth observation data, which already exists. Now, this uh, con- your hardware plays essentially through this SPV, this in space SPV that you're doing. It's not outside of that.
No, it is so it is in-house as well. For example, we spent our last few years, 3 years, in developing novel payloads. Payloads is the camera system that goes to space. And while we are, providing the same payload to the SPV here to, build and launch the multispectral optical satellites, we are also having a line of business where we partner up with companies like Dhruva and others to provide our payload to them, because they manufacture the satellite, AIT, all of that they do, and that happens from our subsidiary Collidio.
Okay. So this is essentially the camera equipment that you're doing.
Yes.
Uh, and this is built to order. This is not like you're putting up your own cameras, which you will operate, but you're selling it to satellite companies who are launching satellites, and you will possibly buy the data from them or something like that.
No, no, we are simply for them providing the license of our IP, and it's a build to print contract, meaning that they can get it manufactured, or they can get the contract to us. We'll get it manufactured, deliver the system to them.
Okay. So you're selling the IP. Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay.
Licensing IP to do that, because for us the need to do the backward integration was to have data sovereignty and have levers on the pricing of the data to keep opening up the commercial market. If you can't control the cost of it, how will you control the price of it? So the cost of it is only when you have designed that system to meet the demand you are catering to, at a very different unit economics than what you know people are making in the US and Europe, which is for the same quality of data, which is much higher.
Uh, I'm not fully understanding this. Can you just like explain to me one more time? So you're saying you need data sovereignty. What does that mean?
So if tomorrow, again, let's say, political relationship between US and India dips. Right now also it's not great. uh, the different levers that people use to put pressure are the following: trade,
Hmm.
that's one that comes in the news. Second are the strategic items: slow down the image access to companies, and
Yeah, yeah.
especially.
Like US stopped sharing intelligence data with Ukraine after the disastrous Zelensky
Exactly.
meeting. Huh. Okay.
So that's
Okay.
a business continuity risk for a company like us, no?
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
So hence the data sovereignty.
So you're saying that you need satellites, Indian satellites, which have the kind of camera sensors giving you the data which you need for business continuity, and therefore you decided to build camera sensors.
Yes, we decided to build only after checking, whether others can build it for us.
Hmm.
The the thing is, the market is skewed towards the defense demand, which is not the kind of only demand we are catering to. We are catering to commercial demand as well, which requires a lot more wide area imaging and all. So if it has to be built from scratch, so we will be paying for the entire IP development for someone,
Okay,
right?
got
We
it.
are not buying off the shelf then.
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
If it was off the shelf, we would have bought it and
hmm,
simply flown the satellite.
hmm,
So because it is IP development,
hmm,
there's no sense to do it outside. We can do it inside. You
hmm.
know, from the background that we came in, this is actually the easiest stuff to do than the building the
Right.
products for banks and insurance and all.
Right, 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 right. So, what is this that IP that you have created? You're not actually having your own sensors out in the sky. You are just selling this IP to other companies, but by having a lot of companies use, probably to these companies, you're telling them that if you launch satellites with this kind of sensors in it, I will buy the data from you
That also, but we will have our own satellites through the SPV, right?
through the SPV also. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, okay,
But
okay,
that
okay.
may not be enough to cater to all the demand. So hence, yes, by selling our IP here,
Hmm,
this is like a option value. We
hmm.
also diversify the data acquisition places.
You're able to tell companies that launch a satellite with my sensors. I will buy the data from you. You have to pay for the sensors, but I will pay you for the data.
That's it.
Okay, okay. So currently, how much of your data ingestion is paid, and how much is through open source?
Right now, we are like having maybe 40% of our data needs are commercial, 60% are open.
Okay, okay. And these commercial, how much is through global companies? How much through your
All.
Indian partners? Or most
No,
of it
no.
is global companies.
All of it is global companies because our Indian partners, for example, hyperspectral data, yes, Pixel,
Hmm.
but there is no other company, Indian company, which is providing high resolution 0.5 or zero point 0.3 meter images.
So that is currently a gap in India's space strategy. Like we don't have that those kind of satellites out in the sky,
Yes,
which in
yes.
space is going to solve now.
In spaces, PPP is going to solve it, which means we are going to solve for
Right,
it.
right.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Amazing, amazing. Okay, let me end over here. I think I have got almost all my curiosity satisfied. Uh, I just want to like kind of end with some advice which you may want to offer to builders who want to do deep tech startups. What kind of mistakes have you made which you'd want them to avoid, or is there any advice that you'd like to share with future deep tech founders?
Well, I think in deep tech, any kind of deep tech domain, the most important thing is to keep your costs low. Tap into all kinds of development grants for non-recurring engineering costs that you need, and that support is only increasing. I mean, look at the RDI, 1 lakh crore. So these are some of the important things. Like survivability is important because you have to underwrite the overall development and commitment for decade plus. This is not a spray and pray kind of domain that you try multiple things, move fast, etc. Sometimes it's okay to be slow because
Hmm.
your market is still evolving. Um, Other is I think just being careful in how the same thing is communicated again and again with your colleagues, so that they also know what they are getting into, and they don't get into, let's say, phases of burnout and disillusion, etc. So it requires a lot more, I would say, closer collaboration and communication to execute properly, because most
Yeah,
people
you need
end up.
a mission driven team basically, and
Yeah,
you need to build that sense of mission drive in your team.
absolutely.
Okay, okay, okay. Fascinating. One last question I want to slip in. This with the way the models by say Google's Gemini model, etc., how they're progressing. Uh, do you think that these models would very soon be just able to take that satellite data and provide the kind of insights which you have spent a couple of years training and developing?
So there will be certain tasks that will be done very well by some of these big tech models. Already, I do see basic stuff like the building footprint, etc., being quite good. I mean, it's evolved very fast, but what it cannot do still is that context addition and further modeling and productization, right? So
Mm. Like
in
throwing out a credit score is still beyond the capability of a model.
yeah, even to just identify your and my farm next to each other, half acre, that will not do it. It requires very
Yeah,
different training data
right.
set. So it is actually an accelerant for companies like us, because we can automate a lot of the back end other tasks using these tools.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's not a threat, it's actually a very good movement.
Mm. Okay, okay, amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Prateep. I took way more time than what I had on your calendar, but I was just so curious about what you're building. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Akshay. All the
Okay.
best.